optimized for the ups and downs. We're taking a look at the new Pivot Switchblade V6. We have Pivot's new Switchblade V6 here today. We're going to take a deep dive, a look at this, maybe some comparisons against the V5, and is all these little changes add up to a big difference. So this Pivot here now, the new Switchblade is the version 6 of this. So tried and true DW link. The geo on this, comparable to the V5, it's not radically different. And what I really like about these bikes, you make it a great bike, just that much better. So a little bit more capable on the ups and downs with some of the Kinematics differences, as well as the angles and the geo on this bike. So again, nothing super drastically different. What we're looking at is about a degree slacker head tube angle and about a half a degree steeper seat tube angle on this. So nothing crazily different on there. Probably the biggest thing that I tell you on this bike that has changed over the previous generation on this is it's gone with a little bit longer bottom link on the DW link. So it's actually taken some of the pedigree from the Firebird and brought it over into the Switchblade and just made this Switchblade just even more well-rounded. This bike, honestly, in the stack of bikes in this category, it's hard to really shine in that mid-travel bike category. This is a 160, 142 in the rear, so it really puts it right into that center you'd call trail bike, all mountain bike, or just those everyman bike out there to go have fun. So really, with this bike that you're really going to see the difference out of this, comparable to a lot of things in the category, with the DW link, is virtually no bob out of this bike. So the guys at Pivot are really, obviously they're in the Phoenix area and they're running Phoenix Mountain Preserve, as well as some of the national trails and stuff that are in there, the Sedona type of stuff, real tight technical climbs. And the downhills aren't necessarily the fastest downhills, but you got technical type stuff with big drops and very much so sharp impacts. What sets this bike really apart with like that, and those type of categories and type of riding and tight terrain and stuff like that, it gives very little bob, but at the same time, just this compliance up a small bump to give you just huge amount of traction while you're riding through those type of terrain. Really hooks up well without feeling too stiff, and it's quite amazing what they have done with this platform and the new Kinematics out of this. I've had a lot of time on the V5, as well as the Ibis counterpart to this, as well as Santa Cruz as well. This is probably the size bike that I would ride more times than not, and probably most people out there would ride. So it's really nice to be able to ride all of these and sort of judge the difference of it. Not too often I can jump on a bike and go hugely different one to the other. The Switchblade definitely has done that with this new platform out of here. Again, if I was to say, if anything, with that small bump sensitivity, it's going to really keep that bike planted with tons of traction. With the new Kinematics out of this and that little longer leak on the bottom, what it has done though is really made this bike much more of like allowed of the downhill, but the progressiveness out of this and the bottom out resistance actually ramps up really nice. I have ridden a decent amount of DW link bikes that don't have that progression in it into a sense, and they're very linear, and you can get a lot of bottom out through that. That's how they have to run the characteristics to get the little smaller bump sensitivity. This bike now, however Pivot's doing it, they've worked some magic out of that for sure. And I think a little bit of that too is this bike has got a very, very well balanced feel. You still fit very centered in this bike. It feels very natural. I love bikes that you just get on. I don't have to mess with anything and just go have a fun time. You know, I'm probably one of those now as well. I don't have a whole bunch of time to move things around and adjust and get fine tuning on there. So when you feel comfortable on a bike, you're faster on a bike, you have more fun on a bike, and we just enjoy our times out there. Now, one thing to really put out with Pivot, you know, they are a little bit different than some of the other bikes that you can see in this category. They do run a super boost out of the rear on this, as well as a press fit. Everyone can, you know, we can debate about that, but what that does allow is on the 29-inch wheel, you can have a shorter chainstay, as well as there's more surface space on the bottom bracket fit. You can build a stronger, more wheel that's not going to flex as much. And realistically, this bike uses the UDH. It actually runs the same chain line that you would run on like a T-type transmission, so nothing different with that. So you can regular transmission on there. But that allows you really short chainstay in there. So this bike actually has a flip chip that's actually adjustable by just the pivot point itself. It's It's actually quite easy just to rotate around. You don't have to take a huge amount of parts apart. But what that allows is this bike to actually be run as a mullet or 27.5 plus at the rear as well. And that changes the geo if you're still running like a 29, about a degree in the front head tube and about a half a degree in the seat tube. Not too much difference on that. It runs a 431 chainstay across all sizes to it. So quite short chainstays comparable to these bigger, longer enduro bikes that we're seeing. And to me, it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air. It allows this bike to have a very centered feel. I feel very comfortable on it, but in those tighter, fun situations, allows that bike to be a little tighter and a little bit more maneuverable on this. So we've been having discussion while a few of us are jumping on this new bike and getting out there riding. And one thing that we keep on coming back to is how this bike rides like a shorter travel, like a 120, 130 travel trail bike, but has the big hit capabilities of the 160, 150 style bikes. So the riding characteristics here on this new Pivot Switchblade V6 are it's something quite unique, I would say. And I mean that in a very good way, just because again, you have very centered balance on this bike. On paper, the numbers on paper just can't add up to how this bike really rides. I always want to look at, and people always hear quite a bit about chainstay length and the reach and the head tube angle, but all of those numbers have to come together and really make something. And this is something that comes together and it's quite special. So again, a very short chainstay out of this and not a super slack head tube angle when you're starting to get into this travel. But all of those added up make a very well-centered bike onto this. I've had the luxury of being able to ride this through, DH Black Diamond downhills close to where I'm at of trail riding. It's about a 1,800 foot climb just to even get to that. It's a fire road, so I get that little fire road type of testing as well as some of our trail riding and stuff out of here. I'm not gonna say it's not the most plushest bike on the downhill, but what I do love is it has a very engaging feel to it. It's not muting everything that it just feels like a big couch on it, but at the same time, it's not just ramming you back and hurting you or feeling that small bump. It got a very lively feel to it. Like I said, it feels like a much lighter, smaller bike with that big hit capability out of it. So if you were doing occasionally park days or so out of this, you would be just fine with it. If you're a casual guy that just wants to go out and pedal and have fun, but doesn't want anything that's super rough, definitely is going to help you out with those characteristics and riding quality. So it really is going to be that 50-50 bike, I would say. Great for your uphills, great for your downhills. Is it the best in the category as downhill? I don't know if I'd quite go that far, but it can hang on there. But I will say on the uphills, it probably is one of the best, if not the best that I've had in this category of bike, but this amount of travel. Again, it rides closer to a short travel bike in the climbing situations and stuff of that. Just tons of traction all the way through, very inspiring on that. And again, with the shorter chain stays and the feel of this bike, when you start getting into real tight situations, maybe switchbacks on the ups or downs, it still allows you to get around very easily and maneuver around those obstacles, as well as having that platform, again, that firm platform that stays high up in its travel with the DW link. That there's something with this. When you wanted to motor this bike, every crank rewarded you with a go forward type of effort instead of that sort of push down. I would say that's probably a huge characteristics of DW, but Pivot has taken to another level with that of just acceleration. I ain't got that type of power through my legs, but I felt like I was running on an e-bike with lower power range going. It had that type of feel that it would want to pull you, urge you to want to actually pedal. And what I liked about that, it allowed with the platform that wasn't super spongy, but had enough traction and engaging to really have fun. So this bike allowed you to go out, have fun on the ups, downs, really good small bump sensitivity, as well as the the power to put down. So again, it's just going to cover all of that ground that you want out there. So this is going to be that guy that has maybe looking to still cover ground out there, like big miles in the saddle, but still wants to have that big hit capability. This is probably the bike in the market that I would look after, or would be putting on my my list of bikes for sure on that. If you're looking for an overall do everything, maybe leaning towards the capability of climbing just a little bit more if we want to talk about where we are in the category of just so many bikes in that category that are so good right now. If we're going to edge one through that way, I'd have to give it just a hair on the climbing capability. So Pivot has done, again, something really magical with this new Kinematics and this bike itself. Very centered, but it gives you the ability to go out there and just pedal with your guys that might have the smaller cross country or smaller trail bikes, but really hang with the big guys out there. So what Pivot really has done with this bike is made it the jack of all trades for sure. You know, this bike, if I was to say where this customer would sit, is that guy that probably, this is my one bike and I'm gonna rule it all with this. I'm gonna go run enduro racing as well as just my local, you know, XC stuff. I can still probably get out there and do that with it. It pedals very efficiently to be able to still do that. And it is a quite light bike. I've been weighing this against some of my smaller travel bikes, and it is pretty accurate there. With that being said, this is a mid-range, I'd probably say, build into this. It does have the carbon wheels into this. And there's no reason why you couldn't get this build under 30, 29 pounds with a 160 fork on the front of this as well. One thing to point out with Pivot, and that's through all Pivot carbon frames, is Pivot makes one carbon layout through all of their builds. So even with something that's going to be running with the most entry level of group train and suspension, you're still getting the one high-end layout carbon frame that you would from all of their models. Where we see a lot of competitors with this will have different carbon layouts that have different weights. They say they don't have different ride characteristics. It's a little harder for me to judge that, you know, without being back to back. But frame-wise, quality-wise, Pivot top notch. I've owned Pivot bikes before, and the fit finish quality of a Pivot bike is something to admire. I think you're looking at, you know, a premium of that because it is a premium brand, and they will hold that through that as well. Things that I really do like, this bike is dead silent except the XT, you know, fin pads. It's just just going to be what it is on those unless we change those out. Pivot uses a screw down tightening system that actually pinches down on the cables, allows almost no move on there. So it's really quite quiet all the way through. I didn't hear any weird rattling, nothing weird on there. Again, just really helps with that bike and overall enjoyment of the bike while you're out there and just purely just hearing the tires connecting to the ground here. If you have any questions on this new Pivot Switchblade version 6 or any other Pivot, our GAs love to talk bikes, reach out and keep pedaling.